Thanks for joining us for another edition of Communication Steroids, the weekly podcast that shows you how to become a better public speaker, a more effective presenter, and a conscious and clear communicator. This is where you can find tips, tools, and techniques that you can put to use today. Here are your hosts of Communication Steroids, Tim Gonzo Gordon and Roger Pike.
Okay, podcast time again?
One more time into the breach. It is indeed time for us to talk.
And we're going to do our best to keep our cotton-picking fingers out of our cotton-picking ears.
Are we going to have to do take 5 here?
No, we're not going to have to take 5. It's the podcast from communicationsteroids.com. Over there,
Roger Pike. And over there,
to my left is Roger Pike. I'm Tim Gordon.
Yeah.
And we are the team here at Communication Steroids. Speaking of team, we are teaming up for a cool project that we're going to talk about here in just a moment. And we'll tell you how we're doing it and how we're planning it. Basically, it's a 12-week-long training session for a local company. And we're very excited about it.
I think it's going to be a blast.
All right. Stand by.
You can now hear our show on Stitcher Radio. Stitcher allows you to listen to your favorite shows directly from your iPhone, Android phone, BlackBerry, and Pre, on demand and on the go. Don't have Stitcher? Download it for free today at Stitcher.com.
So it's a 12-week training session for Cascade Employers Association.
Yeah.
And we are going to be teaching public speaking to a couple of groups over there.
Yeah, they have a beginners group or a non-experienced group of speakers, and then they have a more experienced group of people who currently present that would like to improve their skills. So they've asked us to divide the training up into to accommodate these two groups, and we're looking forward to doing it.
A couple of 45-minute classes once a week for basically 3 months, and through the holidays it'll actually stretch out into about 3.5 to 4 months. But this is something that we've been looking forward to doing. We've done shorter trainings before. We've done presentations, but a 12-week training is new to us. So we've had to sort of take a different tack on this and figure out the organization of the whole project, and that's kind of what we'd like to talk about tonight. I think when we first got to looking at this, we had to look at all of the skills that went into it, and we came up with the 3 Ps: the presentations, the preliminaries, and the you told me what they were. You wrote this thing. Preliminaries, preparation, and presentation.
Preliminaries, preparation, and presentation, yes.
You can tell we're going from notes right there. It's on the back of my hand. Well, never mind.
Where's the teleprompter?
Yeah. So we want to look at a variety of skill sets, and we didn't divide this into 12 weeks. We actually divided it into about 15 or 20 or 25 skill sets that we want to help them get to. Now, in 12 weeks, we probably won't make a beginning speaker a professional, polished speaker, nor will we make...
We'll get them a lot closer.
We'll get them a lot closer, nor will we make an experienced speaker into the best one in the world. But they will certainly learn a lot, and it'll be a great experience for all of us, I think. Right.
And in the preliminary section is the stuff that is devoted mostly to the people who are just new to public speaking, and it's the finding your voice kind of thing.
Right.
Where is your voice? How do you make it work? And the very first step of actually standing up in front of somebody and saying something.
Well, and that's very challenging for a lot of people. I know when I first got into public speaking, out of radio. Now, the speaking part was easy because I'd been speaking into a microphone for 15 or 20 years.
So the enunciation stuff, no problem.
The enunciation, the articulation, for the most part, was pretty easy. Pacing, generally okay. I can always improve. But getting up in front of people and having an audience of 10, 15, 20, 30 people, whatever, even doing contests where there's 100, 150, 200 people in front of you is intimidating, and easy to understand that it's intimidating if you've never done that. Statistics show people are more afraid of speaking in public than they are of dying.
Yeah. It's an amazing thing how terrified people are. I've been speaking competitively since junior high, so as we've commented on the program before, it's hard for me to remember the last time when I was really scared going up in front of a group.
And so, we have to relate to these people that have never done this before and help them get over and use some techniques to help them get over their fear of speaking. And for the others, we really want to challenge them and get them to tell us what the experienced speakers want them to tell us what is your biggest challenge when it gets up in front of people. Is it talking to a group about this? Is it doing a sales call? Is it what is it? What is the answer? And they'll have to tell us, and we'll actually help form the training to make them better on those specific areas.
We have a series of modules that have been set up, and we'll pick and choose from among those modules based on the feedback that we get from them.
Right. So, in a sense, we're probably designing the first couple of classes, knowing what we're getting into, and it'll be very structured for that. But after that, it's very interactive, and we'll have sort of the framework of everything. We'll have a certain number of things we want to cover and do a little bit of lecturing, but there's a lot of interactivity and involvement on their part, which it has to be, because you can't learn to speak in public by listening to someone tell you how to do it.
And of course, we'll tell them some of the tricks that we've developed over the course of the years, and some of the things that we've told you if you've been listening to the podcast. Things like the magic rule of threes. Three is mystic. It's magic.
It works. It's very simple. It's the three-legged stool. You put 4 legs on it. It's a little out of balance for some reason. You put 2 legs. It doesn't stand up at all.
So the magic rule of threes is something that we'll talk to people about. We'll teach them all the active listening skills that we can possibly pass along, because I will contend till the day I die that the best speakers come from the best listeners.
It's true.
So we'll teach all the active listening skills we can, and those are just some of the things that we'll talk about. We'll talk about how far to go in memorization, which is another thing that we've talked on the Communication Steroids, the podcast, about. That we recommend that unless you are committed to campaigning a speech, that unless you're committed to giving it over and over and over and over and over again,
as in a contest situation,
as in a contest situation,
or a political campaign, as you say,
right, or a stump speech.
Yeah.
Unless you're committed to doing that, you shouldn't memorize a speech, because you tend to get lost in your own syntax. You think, as you're going through the course of the speech, I had a really neat way of saying this, and while you're thinking about that, you're losing your way.
I actually ran across an article online today from a guy that I ran across, and he made some comments. He's not a public speaker by profession or trade, but he does it on occasion. But he went to a conference that had a bunch of great speakers, and he took a lot of notes, and he shared his top 10 ways to be a less sucky speaker. And one of them was interesting that really stood out to me is that I use this on occasion. I really related to it, and that is write your script and then throw it away. Because you're writing a script which helps you really gel in your mind where you want to go from A to B to C to D to E. And then once that's done, you've read that a number of times and you've got up and you've practiced it, throw it away, and just get into the story.
Memorize your introduction. Memorize your conclusion. Memorize your outline.
Yeah, and that's certainly another way to do it. But also he said tell stories. Find engaging stories that really relate to what the audience, and listen to the audience. And he said listening is a very, very important part. And he has some great people that were at this conference. I mean, James Cameron, he said, as he called him on his blog, James freaking Cameron. Okay? So there's a lot of different ways and means that we can use to help folks in a training session, especially what will be interesting to me is doing a 12-week long class. I'm really intrigued by that for a number of reasons.
Well, it gives us a chance to really get in depth, to take people from a point where they are now to a much, much more developed, polished speaker's point. It's not a matter of us standing up for a half-day training or a full-day training or even a weekend training and not even really knowing how our people advance, because we don't see them after the training.
Yeah, and it's an ideal situation for a number of reasons. You get to know them much better over 12 weeks. You get to help them. I think that probably the key to having especially the beginning group advance and learn a lot is to make it a very safe, comfortable environment that everyone wants them to succeed. And we just stress that. And so that becomes sort of like their private womb that they can grow in.
Right. And we get to measure their progress. We get to see it. We get to be a part of it. And I'm really excited about that.
Well, so that's what we're going to be doing. And gosh, that's our podcast.
Cool.
Just like that. Unless you had any other things you wanted to add.
I'm done.
Put a fork in him.
Yeah, stick a fork in me because I am done.
All right, the podcast wrapping up here from communicationsteroids.com. We appreciate you joining us yet again. And if this is your first time, by all means, head to the website if you aren't already there. Subscribe to our Inner Circle newsletter. It comes out every couple of weeks, a couple times a month, and lets you know what's going on here at the website to remind you to come back. And all sorts of cool stuff happening there. And more to come.
Awesome.
That's Roger.
And that's Tim.
All right.